Hello.
Today we're going to come on and talk to you a little bit about one of our favorite games, one of our most popular games, called Tsuro.
There we are. I'll even bring it closer so everyone can see.
Now there's Tsuro and then there's Tsuro of the Seas. Today we're just going to talk about Tsuro and then explain how Tsuro of the Seas is pretty much exactly the same game with a little bit of a twist.
Alright, so we'll start off by kind of explaining how the game is played. And if I can get this board here. Alright, so this is the board we have. You'll see around the edges there are these little, I don't know, what would you call that?
Notches?
Notches? Sure, little notches. And what everyone is going to do, this game plays from 2 to 8 players. Everyone is going to take their player piece, I've got one here, and put it on that one of those spots, one of the two. Doesn't matter where, anywhere along the edge of the board, on one of those notches. On their turn, they're going to take one of 3 tiles that they'll be given, and they will choose one of the tiles, whatever looks best, and place it on the space in front of them. And then they will follow that line to the end, right like that.
Yeah, so whatever line is lining up with the notch that your player marker's on, that's the line that you follow.
Yes. So eventually, everyone is going to have a lot of these tiles in front of them, and they will make all sorts of various paths, which they will follow and follow and follow.
On the board.
On the board.
Yeah.
The goal of the game is to be the last man standing. So you're either going to fall off the edge of the board, which you don't want to do, or you might end up crashing into another player, also which you don't want to do. And that's how you play. It's really simple. On your turn, you're taking a tile, or putting a tile down and then taking a tile, and that's it. Really simple.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular games at our game night because it's quick and easy and chaotic and fun.
Yes. Yeah. We use it a lot at our game nights because it is simple to teach in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good space filler too if you're waiting to play another game. This is quick. It's over quickly.
Yes.
We've taught it to our youth group and the teens love playing it. And it's funny. One of the reasons I like this game is because it's not totally a cutthroat game until you kind of get to the end because you want to survive, right? So you kind of just go into the game thinking, okay, be the last one standing, but then you start to see how your path will interact with someone else's path. And you can choose, like, you're down between, like, okay, do I save myself and let Matt die? Of course. Do I take us both out at the same time? Do I, so it's cool how eventually they all kind of meet and stuff. And there's not really too much strategizing involved. I mean, one could say you could start off and say, okay, I'm going to stick to the right the whole time, but then that could be a bad idea because you could just go whoop and go right off the board. That was my left. Anyways, yeah, so it's I like it for that reason too, because you just kind of go with the flow and hope for the best, and then eventually it becomes really crucial where you place your tiles.
It's as cutthroat as you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think another great thing about the game is that it is simple, yes, but it also plays up to 8 people. You can play with 2 people, or you can play up to 8.
That's just when it gets crazy.
Yes, it's extra crazy and extra great.
Yeah.
For all the reasons Jen said, my favorite parts of it are the chaos. So I really do like the 8-player game. When you have 8 players around the board and all these people start falling off a lot quicker in an 8-player game.
Because you can totally just change someone else's path. If you put one down and it happens to be right at the edge where the other player is, they have to follow that path as well. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes you're like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, and then other times you're just like, yeah, sucker.
All right. So one of the things we want to do in our reviews is talk about why it's good for families.
Yeah, with this whole pandemic going on, we've all been stuck at home with our families. God bless them. And we just wanted to find games that aren't going to tear families apart. Let's be honest, sometimes games can get frustrating and cause some rivalries that aren't necessarily the greatest. You know, I've got traumatic experiences from Monopoly, but that's a whole nother video.
And Ticket to Ride.
Well, not me. That was my brother. Good family day meltdown. So yeah, the reason that I think Tsuro is good for families is because it's very simple. I mean, what's the recommended age limit on it, anyways?
Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe it says here. It says 8+.
I mean, in my opinion, someone younger could play because all it is just following a path.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be able to handle kind of the thinking ahead and the critical thinking skills, but as far as it's just place a tile, line it up, it's good for the visual motor, it's kind of like this, almost the same as like a roll and move. You place a tile, you move. You place a tile, you move. It's very simple in that. And then the thinking can become more complex, but definitely good for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I think all that you have to tell the child is that they have to try not to fall off the edge of the board, and that should keep them busy for a good portion of the game before it gets too heated. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So you think it would be good for younger than 8?
I think so.
Yeah. And then I think it would be, it's a great game for families of all sizes and all ages, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've brought it out and played it with, I think we've played it with kids, we've played it with adults and seniors, and it's been gangbusters, I think.
Yeah.
The cool thing kids say, right?
So that's our review and our thoughts on Tsuro.
Well, we could talk about the game itself. I really like the components. I think these are really neat.
They're neat, yeah.
I think it's just plastic or something like that, but they look like little stones. The tiles should last a nice long time. They're a good cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Our board itself has had a little bit wear, but we got it secondhand, and it's already had a lot of play. But
it's not falling apart or anything like that. Yeah.
And the other thing we wanted to talk about is Tsuro of the Seas.
Right, and I don't think I've ever actually played that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Tsuro of the Seas is another game that you can get from the same series, and you can play the same game with the Tsuro of the Seas components. You can play Tsuro with that. And that's why we have Tsuro, because the friend we got Tsuro from acquired Tsuro of the Seas.
He didn't feel like he needed both.
No, exactly. You don't need both. What Tsuro of the Seas adds, they add a couple different things. One of the big things they add are dragon tiles.
Yeah, I haven't played with the dragons yet.
Yes, so dragons will come onto the board and they will eat paths. Or, if you're in the way, you.
Ooh.
Yes.
That definitely adds to the chaos.
Yes, it does. It definitely adds a lot of chaos. I think it adds a couple things like cannons and things to combat the dragons. Unfortunately, I don't remember how those work as well as I know the dragons. The dragons were my favorite part. It's just the added chaos. But I think that's it. I would definitely say it is a must-add to your game collection. For family time. Yeah, for sure. You can play it like 3-4 times in a row and not get sick of it. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And it's different every time. Oh yes, it's very different. Yeah. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us and enjoying our review. Stay tuned for our next one. All right. Bye-bye.